we got into the closed beta test for Anemo, probably the most adorable upcoming co-op game on the horizon, wide and far. And here's more about our experience and our thoughts on the game. But first, let's have a look together at what Anemo is. This is a creature collector, obviously. But it also features open-world exploration where you race, sneak, glide or climb to explore different physics-based puzzles and new biomes, including forests, volcanoes and even the deep sea. It has cozy features including base building and management, as well as a lot of customization options. On the other hand, it is an action RPG. The action combat uses skills, dodges and requires different strategies. To fight, your character can either command Anemos from the lines of the battlefield, or you can transform into them to unleash combos and ultimates in first person, which is called twining. The open world is filled with various Anemos that need different strategies to capture. They have various elements, strength and weaknesses, as well as special skills that are useful for exploration. The ecosystem has a day-night cycle that influences the Anemo present, as well as a weather system. Anemo will be free to play and will have social features such as various co-op challenges and a hub where you can meet other players. Unfortunately, as we only had one game key, we could not test these out for now. But from what we've seen so far, the game lets you do almost everything together, from simply exploring to fighting alpha bosses and even dungeons. So we are hyped. Now let's have a quick look at your first minutes of gameplay. Your first loading screen starts out with a cheerful announcement. We just won an exclusive trip to Idle for an on-planet Anemo encounter. But before we get the chance to swipe this announcement into the spam folder, we find ourselves on exactly that planet. It wasn't a scam after all, huh? We start our session streaming our visit for the Polaris Institute's social channel, the ones that held the lottery in the first place. Not a minute goes by until the first cute Anemos come into the frame, having all the virtual viewers cheer in excitement. And me as well, naturally. But we're not alone on our trip. Nico, an institute student, accompanies us and shows us the ropes. After some basic movement tutorials, we then get to catch our first Anemo, an amber pup. This little fella comes in handy right thereafter, as we need to burn down some vines to continue. And so he does. What a good boy. We continue onward and get a family pack of Anipods, the catch devices used to capture all the cute creatures we find ourselves surrounded by. After stuffing our pockets to the brim, we follow the way up to a tree where we meet two special Anemos that are not just miraculously able to talk to us, but also find themselves in a bit of a pickle. We can choose to save one of them. The other goes to Nico. Classic Charmander Bulbasaur situation here. But instead of getting them out of the mess, we get ourselves into it. And within a blink of an eye, we end up separated from Nico at the bottom of a cave. While finding a way out, we learn some useful tips from our new companion. Just as we regroup with Nico, we find ourselves in a full-fledged fight with an overgrown potato. A bad-tempered at that. After learning the basics of combat, we get to the point where we twine with our Anemo for the first time. Obviously, we are born naturals at that. Nico, however, not so much. So after having dealt with a bad-tempered potato, now we have to deal with a bad-tempered Nico in Anemo form. What a day! How the fight ended, we can't tell. The only thing we know for certain is that we fainted and eventually ended up back at the Institute on our home planet. There, our natural talent for being a pathfinder hasn't gone unnoticed, and thus, after some more introductions to core systems, we joined the Institute as a pathfinder. So after having played 10 hours, let's discuss what we liked the most. Let's get the obvious thing out of the way first. The Anemo designs are absolutely adorable. I mean, look at this. But honestly, these little guys range from cuteness overload to cool and slightly edgy, all the way to elegant. They have very creative designs, and every single news site had us go, aww. Like in other creature collectors, Anemo have elements and evolution stages. They start in a baby phase and can be leveled up and then evolve into new forms. Or sometimes even branch out into multiple different ones that are tied to their gender or to milestones your Pathfinder has reached in the game. There is a familiar strength and weaknesses system, and Anemo have roles like healer, tank, support and DPS. We even found a link blast, in which all of your friends attack together. Normally, you will find them out in the wild, going about their day. If you transform into one of your Anemo, more on that ability later, you can even get up close and blend in. Watch them do cute things, or interrupt them by throwing in Anipod. Because, of course, collecting is a huge aspect in this game too. And you are not just looking for new species. Each Anemo comes in different grades, ranging from common to perfect. They can have special passive abilities as well as offensive ones. And the offensive ones can be configured however you like. Each Anemo also has different color and regional variants. And if that wasn't enough, they also got a personality that shapes their stats. Having multiple different Anemo with you is also important for exploring the open world, as their unique abilities like gliding, sprinting or swimming help a ton. And again, some are better at what they do than others. So altogether, that's a lot of incentives to keep exploring and catching different ones to perfect your team. But you are not just limited to catching them. In the open, you can come across Anemo eggs that you can hatch in an incubator. These bear different little ones, and if you're lucky, one that you haven't caught yet. As Anemo have genders too, there might even come a breeding system in the future. Maybe even with deeper genetics where you might be able to keep special rare traits, skills or personalities.
But your Anemos aren't the only cute ones around. We did enjoy the character customization a lot as well. There are tons of different options to choose from, and you can even get into details like changing the angle of your ponytail, if that's something that's important to you. And for even more customization, you can equip different outfits, headgears and accessories on your character. Even multiple at once if you unlock the slots later on. Your Anemos aren't safe from fashion either, as you can equip them with little adorable accessories too. In the beta, these could all be bought from in-game shops, but more on that later. Your Pathfinder, as the protagonists are called, have their own level and skill trees. There are active and passive skills, including getting an arrow board, better combat skills or improving your training and evolution abilities. So there are some light RPG elements to the game. They can use their own attacks and gadgets to support their Anemos in battle. But the Twine ability is where the real fun starts, and what makes Anemo so unique in the creature collector genre right now. Your Pathfinder can morph into your active creature, and then freely use their skills to attack, dodge and support, as well as solve puzzles and interact with the game world. Your Space Squirrel can glide, your Flame Wolf can melt ice, and your little Sea Star extinguishes fires. We found the combat really fun and engaging, especially when swapping through your active team of 4 Anemos, breaking the enemy's stun bar and then setting up an ultimate Link Blast attack. But the complexity of all of this also means that for some of the players this might be a bit much. The combat has good targeting assistance, but requires you to dodge, time your attacks and can feel a bit clicky as you're required to continuously left click.
We love the open world design, look and feel a lot. Obviously, the cute and anime-esque art style isn't for everyone, but from everything we've seen so far, there were a ton of different landscapes to explore and enjoy. The world itself is filled with mini-games, mini-bosses and dungeons. The puzzles are often based on elemental reactions and elemental matching, similar to Genshin Impact, but very often with a physical twist on top. For example, you can either free a pole from thorny vines and climb up, or smash the chest on top to throw it to the ground. Your choice. And if you can't reach something that needs igniting, why not stack flammable chests on top of it and set them ablaze instead? It's fun and encourages thinking outside of the box. Then there are the bosses, so-called alphas, that drop good loot and unlock evolutions. And they can even be caught if you get lucky and beat the low rates. Sanctums are puzzle dungeons that contain chests and are tied to world progression. You can't use your own Anemo there, but get a specific one instead. These can be done in co-op and some even require a party of at least 2. Exploring the world, capturing Anemos and collecting regional resources are just a few of the activities that tie into a map-wide progression system that unlocks more features like changing the weather. For the game flow, if you're familiar with other open-world games like Genshin Impact or Wuthering Waves, the game's structure feels very familiar. You have a main story quest, side quests, login rewards, daily tasks, and we think there will be different community events coming up when Anemo is live. There is also an energy system with a maximum pool of 300 so-called Primagy that you might be familiar with if you played one of these games. This energy is needed to perform actions like looting boss chests, but also to craft Anipods or experience items in your home. These can be replenished with special items and a special currency. We will talk about that again a bit later.
Pretty early on, we got introduced to our own little housing plot, which we found to be a very cool addition to the game. It felt like stepping onto a new Stardew Valley farm, with all those rocks and twigs lying around that needed some clearing up before we could build our own first production building and a supermarket. And this system is not just for show. The fun part is that our Anemos can help us out here, performing various tasks and craft items just like in Palworld, but they look less depressed doing so. Some Anemos have special passive abilities that enhance certain housing tasks, so you can really optimize here. For example, only a water type can water your plants, and all the plots you see here are unlockable later as you progress the game, so there is quite a lot of construction and decoration ahead of us in the future. We see a lot of fun potential here, and hopefully we will be able to work on a shared plot together when the game launches. But don't worry. Craftable items like Anipods can also be bought from in-game currency, so if housing and farming isn't your thing, you're not required to partake in that activity.
Although we were prepared to face some issues, as this is just a beta, we had a great experience playing and little to no problems. If that means anything, we only had to report 2 minor issues, with none of them being game-breaking. Some small aspects weren't perfect yet, but that's to expect from the current state of development. We hope the NPC animations will get some more love too, because some of them gave a bit of an uncanny valley feel. Other than that, the game ran smooth, averaging about 80 FPS, even in combat, on ultra settings with the Anemo limit set to 100. However, take that with a grain of salt, as we played on an RTX 4070 Ti Super with DLSS, so your own experience might be a little bit different. Then again, performance tweaking is often done closer to release, so this looks very solid already.
One thing we are also looking out for as a multiplayer-focused channel is of course the multiplayer features. As we said, unfortunately, we only received one key to playtest, so we couldn't test the social features in depth. We're just hoping that these parts of content will feel more meaningful compared to some of the games we have drawn comparison to. If we could wish for 3 things to do together, it would be synchronized game worlds, so we could explore, puzzle and loot chests together seamlessly for once, without repeating everything in our own instance all over again. Then we would love a shared housing plot to build and decorate one home together. And third, more group-based challenges like raids and community events would be great. We haven't seen any mention of PvP so far, by the way. So if your dream was to destroy your friends and become the very best like no one ever was, we are not yet sure that's happening. But also, the game is still in development, so don't lose hope just yet. Another thing that might be the biggest deal breaker for many, including us, is the business model and monetization. As we said before, Anemo is going to be free to play. We do not have to explain to you that this always has its ups and downs. There were no monetization game features in this test, so everything we say now is solely our speculation. We do expect there to be an in-game shop, in line with similar games with things like a battle pass, cosmetics and probably housing items. And with the energy system present, there could be items to replenish that, available in the shop. Is that pay to win? That's a difficult discussion, and there are many opinions out there, most of them valid and very understandable. But if that means anything to you, at least in this beta test, we haven't seen anything suggesting something out of line from the industry standards of monetization in free-to-play titles.
So, should you be excited for Anemo? We say yes. There is plenty to be excited about if you love games like Palworld and Pokemon, obviously. But this might also be hitting home for fans of Zelda, Genshin or Infinity Nikki. We love the adorable creature designs, the vibrant open world with its different biomes, and generally how fluid we were moving around using gliding, swimming and sprinting. The different RPG systems, like skill trees, feel impactful, like when you unlock a hoverboard. And many other parts of the game are engaging for different kinds of players, be it house builders, creature collectors, or completionists. It was an enjoyable journey and we are excited to see more of Anemo. But that's it for today's adorable adventure. We wish you lots of fun in co-op with your favorite people and we'll see you again in the next one.